What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Perfectly Blended Podcast, Season 5, Episode 15. Today, we're actually going to talk about something super relevant, and that is social media in marriage, and that's coming up
right now.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Perfectly Blended Podcast. This podcast is for blended families, for couples that want to strengthen their marriage and want a brighter future. Perfectly Blended exists to break the stigma of divorce, drop the shame and guilt holding you back, and equip marriages to thrive instead of just survive. We believe all that is possible in this life is based on the power of Jesus Christ and His ability to restore us fully. Let's dive in. What is up, everybody? Welcome to today's show. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and I'm here with the always Miss Gorgeous Woman of the Year, Miss Christy. How are you, babe?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm tired.
I'm so good.
I'm tired.
Then she lied. She's not good. So, what's on your mind, woman? What's on your mind? Share with us. What's on your mind?
I'm just tired.
What's on your mind is tired?
We've had a couple strenuous nights with Stella. So
Our Frenchie dog.
Yeah. So I'm just tired. I didn't get much sleep the last couple nights. So
I thought you were going to say months.
No,
I haven't slept in months.
Just a couple nights and it affects me.
Yeah, it's rough. I know.
I recently started a new type of, because of recent health issues that have came up about myself, and Josh has enjoyed shopping and now cooking these meals for me. I have recently started being dairy-free and gluten-free.
Take away all the joy in life. And now you get to eat that for all your meals.
It's actually not that bad. Like, we have found cheese that's dairy-free and bread that's gluten-free. Like, it's all been great, and I've liked it all. He made me brownies last night that are gluten-free and dairy-free, and I loved them. Like, and everyone else in the family ate them, and they were like, ugh.
It's Christy's oldest boy tried one this morning. He was just like, Josh goes, my boy goes, Garrett ate one of those brownies last night. I'm like, what'd you think of it? And he was like, something's wrong with it. And I said, oh, it's gluten-free, dairy-free. He's like, there it is. There it is. It didn't taste like anything.
I actually loved it. Like, he fed it, to me, like, gave it me a couple of...
It's like a muffin. Yeah,
like
a chocolate muffin. Yeah.
And they were warm right out of the oven. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Yeah, we put Christy's youngest boy, Green, and I doused it with whipped cream. And I'm like, I guess I could eat this if I had
I ate
to.
it with nothing.
Christy's like, this is delicious.
It was very good.
No, like... No. I mean, if you like cardboard, it was wonderful.
No.
It's kind of how it tastes. Didn't have much of a flavor, though. That's the problem. There wasn't much of a flavor profile to it.
I liked it.
So, anything else?
No.
No? Just all that
I don't think so.
Fun jazz.
Not unless you're thinking of something that I'm supposed to be
No,
talking
I don't.
about. Oh.
I don't know.
That happens. Like, he could have mentioned something to me 10 seconds ago, and then I'm like, I don't know. And then he's like...
I forget.
Yeah.
So, this day, Christy was actually brought this up a while ago and said that we should do a topic on this. And I think it is a really good topic because it is something that directly impacts our marriage. And so I think it's so awesome that we get to talk about something that is hard, and that is social media in marriage.
And we're not good at it.
And we suck at it.
But
we're super bad at it.
That doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it. Like, if there's something that we're struggling with, that means other people out there are struggling with it too.
That's right.
And we don't have to have conquered it to talk about it.
No, and I think it's, today we really want to talk about the dangers of social media in marriage, what it can lead to, some issues with it. And then we want to kind of wrap up at the end, and just say, what can we do? Like, what are the things that we can do to kind of help, curb this, make it better, make it, in a way that,
because it's not going
a way to manage some of it. It's not going away.
Yeah.
Right. And there is people that are like, I'm just not being part of social media, but
that's not the majority though.
That's not the majority. Right. And then that is one option, right?
I mean, our son-in-law isn't on any type of social media.
Yeah.
But
and
he's
daughter
25. Is. Yeah. But our daughter is.
He's
so
25. Yeah. So it's unlikely that you're going to have both partners in a marriage that are going to be zero social media.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, so we really want to talk about that. So that's something we want to break down today. So the dangers, right? The dangers. So number one thing that gets in your marriage that's a problem with social media is it can increase abilities of having an affair. Now, I just want to share this statistic before Christy dives in. 30% of Tinder, if you don't know what Tinder is, it's a dating site that you can download. 30% of Tinder users are married. That actually blew my mind when I read that. 30%, a third of people that use this platform are married. And that should say a lot about marriage and social media.
It does. It does play a huge factor in it because people can message each other and all this stuff. But I have a funny story about it. It's not really funny, but it's funny to me now. But when I was on MySpace, years and years and years ago, before you and I got together.
MySpace.
I actually liked MySpace because you could change your whole homepage to have it be
And you got a theme song?
Yeah. And if people got on your page, I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know how Facebook overtook it.
It's because you're over 40. That's why you love it.
It was so much fun.
You boomer. All right.
But anyway, I remember when I went to get a Facebook, my now ex-husband was like, you can't have a Facebook. If you get a Facebook, we're going to get a divorce because everybody gets divorced because it's from the devil. And I don't know, I got it. And it was probably less than a year and we got a divorce, which is a coincidence.
He was right.
It was a coincidence.
Of the devil.
But I think it was a funny story because he was
worried about
one of those people that.
How did you connect with me when you were getting a divorce? It was on Facebook.
It's not funny, but it's just
the dangers.
It's just odd. Him and my ex and I were getting a divorce. Yeah, I reached out to you.
You did. Yeah. He wasn't wrong.
Oh my gosh, that's not the reason.
That was the problem with your whole relationship. No, the thing is it promotes connection with other people, and to be honest with you,
it could be unhealthy.
We have to be very careful. I mean, just look at workplaces about how uncomfortable and unhealthy relationships can become there if you're not very careful with that. Now, take away all the people that can watch you doing this in public, and take all that and add massive amounts of secrecy around it. Now you have all of this stuff that is just a petri dish for creating an affair.
Petri dish, I like that analogy.
Yeah, and you can just cook it right in there. And so it's really, really, really unhealthy, and it's very, very dangerous. So social media, if it's not managed appropriately between husband and wife, and I think people get real kind of edgy with this stuff, oh, this is mine. You need to trust me. And listen, your goal should to create trust in your relationship, not test the trust of your partner.
That's a quote.
And I think that, we have to really stop trying to point fingers and saying it's on our partner that they need to be more secure in who they are, and say, wait a minute. I want my wife to never have to doubt my ability in social media. I don't ever want her to think twice about the things that I'm doing on social media. I want her to be in the know at all times and be comfortable with that. That should be our goal in marriage.
I love you.
And otherwise, we're putting ourselves in a position to have an affair. We really are, because affairs don't happen overnight.
No.
They don't. They happen a little bit at a time. And social media and they show all these little memes and stuff, and it's a funny thing where a guy is, swiping through and looking at all these chicks' profiles and stuff. And then his girlfriend or wife can see in a reflection of the mirror what he's doing, she's catching him. Again, that's not funny. There's nothing funny about that.
Mm-mm.
It's almost like it's becoming socially acceptable of that's just how social media is used. And so I think it's a very dangerous thing. And a very slippery slope.
It is. It's a slippery slope.
Is there anything else to add to that?
It's like drinking alcohol, though, honestly. Our pastor just preached on this past Sunday, and he was vulnerable about it and was like, alcohol was a really hard thing for me. Was it this Sunday or the previous Sunday? Anyway, recent Sunday. He said,
it was last Sunday. The Sunday before.
He said, alcohol was a really hard thing for me as a pastor to accept, because I, really was focusing on if you drink alcohol, it's a sin. And he's like, and we have to get past our own biases and say it's about what the Bible says. And the Bible does not say drinking a glass of wine with dinner is a sin.
Right.
It's drunkenness that's a sin. But it's a slippery slope, and we have to be careful on why we would even partake in things like that. And it's the same thing with anything with us. Too much of anything is a bad thing. And when we are using social media to do anything that we feel like we have to hide from our spouse, or our spouse wouldn't approve of that we are doing, if we're looking at things that we know our spouse wouldn't approve of, if you know that temptation is there for you, like Josh and I, we're not going to go out now. He's been sober for 13 years and I've been sober for 11 years. We're not going to be like, we should be able to start having a glass of wine now with dinner.
Right.
Like we should be able to. No, we shouldn't because we're alcoholics.
Yeah.
So if that's something that you know you're tempted with,
That's
or
good.
if you're a male too, that's how you're created. There's
That's
nothing wrong
how
with
you're
that.
tempted.
That's how you're created
Yeah.
to be tempted.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that, you have to put fail safes and things like that. You have to be aware of it and not be ashamed of it. Like, yes, that's
True.
how I'm going to get tempted. I don't need to even partake or even dip my little toe in.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is a lot of times people they want to push the envelope on it a little bit because it makes them feel good. It strokes their ego or gives them a little, shot of endorphins in
True.
their brain.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, they're having a full-blown affair. And that is how it starts. And then they're crying because their partner, their wife finds out, their husband finds out, and they're losing everything. And they're like, how did I let it get this far?
Yeah.
I can tell you where it starts. And what do we say about sin? You have to rip it up at the root. So why are you planting the seed and letting the roots start to fester? Like you don't do that.
Thinking we can manage it though.
Yes.
And can control it.
Yes.
Is part of our problem. And that's where pride is the root of all of this. Like social media really plays and prances all over our pride of what we're capable of doing because we're able to do things in such secrecy that we think that we can manage it and control it. And then we find ourselves, because of sin nature, trying to make excuses of why the things that we're doing is not this. It's okay because I haven't went this far. And like Christy's saying, it's just a matter of time though.
But
that's how the devil gets the foothold.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's what if you and your spouse, you're on social media and you start looking at all these Facebook friends that you have and they're posting all these great vacations they're going on and all these great remodels of their homes that they're doing and all of this stuff. And you guys are putting yourself in finance. You're not tithing. You're not giving back to God like you should. That's biblical. And you're putting yourself in financial bankruptcy because you're trying to keep up. That's sin too.
Yeah.
Because the things that you see on social media aren't 100% truth. Yes, that is a moment in those people's lives. But if you talk to a lot of people, a happy family photo that you see on social media is usually preluded with tons of fighting, like just smile for the picture, act like you're happy, get together, you move over here. And then you see it's a 1 second moment, but you don't know about what happened before and after that.
Yeah, it's like putting on your church face,
Yes, it's so many things. It's affairs. Yes, it could cause financial strain on your marriage being on social media from both parties because you guys want to keep up with others.
Yeah, no, for sure. Number 2 is reduces intimacy. And I thought this was pretty awesome. 11% of people who don't use social media report they have a happier marriage than those that do.
I believe that.
And that does not surprise me either. 11% actually seems a little low. But why though? It's because what God ultimately wants is like what he wants with us is a closer, intimate relationship. And if I have my phone in front of my face and I'm scrolling all the time, TikTok has become a real problem in our house. Like just before we even got on here, I'm sitting in the office, Christy's sitting in the living room. And what are we doing? I was on YouTube watching something that was not important enough to sit and watch. And Christy's out scrolling on TikTok. Like that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
Before we came on here to talk about the dangers of social media. Like that's the reality of it.
It's not funny.
It's not funny.
It's just like
it's almost ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And we talk about it. We talk about it and we talk about it, but yet we don't do anything about it. And then we get to the point, let's just be honest. Like I get to the point where I'm just like, we talk about it all the time. We don't do anything about it. So whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the attitude that you get, about it.
Yeah, why bother?
Yeah. Why bother?
Why bother? And that's not the case, though. We have to be intentional with our time with our spouses. Like Christy goes to work and I have all these other things that I do that we're not connected throughout the day. We're not. Do we talk to each other every once in a while? Yeah. Text messages? Yes. But it's more like, is this on the calendar? Did you make sure this got done today? I need you to run to the bank. Like these are the things, right? Yeah. That's not intimacy. Right? That's honeydew, check, right? But then when she comes home from work, I mean, I'm still in the kitchen getting dinner ready. Like there's no intimacy in that either. She's coming home and puking her day on me, which is fine. And I want her to do that. But for us to be able to sit down and talk to each other, like Really tough. And to be honest with you, something that is going through my head right now, something that makes a huge difference where it's like almost impossible for us to be on social media. What is it that we do?
Going for a walk.
Go for walks. Like I barely even got it out of my mouth and sure didn't know what I was going to say. Because when you're walking, you're not going to put your phone in front of your face and be scrolling through TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or whatever it is that you use, or ESPN, whatever you got going on, checking scores every 15 seconds, And I have a problem with that too at certain times of the year. And I do. And it's true, right? And I will like sneak a peek and like, I want to know. And why though? Like, we have to really like care about the time that we have with our spouses. Are we saying that there's no time for any of that stuff? No, we're not. But it just takes a little bit and all of a sudden it turns into a lot. Yeah, it turns into a lot.
And with TikTok, like I could get on there just to clear a notification or quickly post something about like our podcast or something like that. And the thing with TikTok that's brilliant is as soon as you open it up, there's a video. It's not like you're at your home screen
and it's not
or
muted.
anything. No.
And it's not muted.
And it's like as soon as you open it up, it's like video. And then you're like, oh, and then you're like, I'll just go a couple times. And then the next thing you know, 15, 20 minutes has passed. And you're like, oh my gosh.
You know what's brilliant? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sorry, but I have to say this. It's actually not you're saying that. My mind is going 100 miles an hour.
TikTok was brilliant.
No, it's brilliant because there's not like with Facebook, all the videos are automatically muted and you have to unmute those.
Yeah.
But TikTok is an app that automatically set the precedence in the beginning. If you use our app, the volume's going to be on. So people already know and they don't get irritated by it.
But my phone's already turned down. So
Do you understand what I'm saying though? Like that's kind of brilliant. So it plays into our weaknesses, right? They know what's going to draw us in. And they know that it's just going to, like Christy said, fire our endorphins like mad time, like watching these
and I was like, ooh,
30-second videos, to what? And don't get me wrong, we love the little bit of entertainment. That's what we desire. But what we need more in our life is a closer relationship with our spouse. Like we really do. And we're not saying that you can't have some of that, but we're not prioritizing it correctly because we're not.
And you can make all the excuses in the world. Like our TikTok now, who we're following and stuff, our feed is like Christian and inspirational and funny and all of those things.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's like going to the gym 4 hours a day. It's not bad.
That's the devil.
Yeah. It's telling us it's okay because it's not bad.
Right.
Number 3, the dangers of social media. It encourages secrecy.
Mm-hmm.
Something I wrote in here as a note is that sex sells and it's all over social media. And that's the truth. Like they know whether it doesn't have to be nudity. It could be the way someone's looking. It could be the way someone's dressing. It could be the way someone's saying something. It's fully intentional for both sexes for them to lead and connect and bridge all these things together to just reel you in on it. And automatically what it does is it starts attacking to you in a specific way that causes this secrecy to really get like, oh, this isn't bad. This isn't bad. And we talked a little bit about that before, but that's what that does. It encourages secrecy.
Yeah, because you start telling yourself, like, I can just look at this for a second. It's not going to hurt anything. And what I've noticed is, yes, it is for both sexes, but God really didn't design women to be the visual people. We're more the emotional people. And the majority, 90% of the videos or pictures or things that go by are women, not nude, but a wet t-shirt or a workout video of the backside of her doing a stair stepper, but it's completely zoomed in on her butt, and just things like that. And it's completely unnecessary and degrading really to women. It's subjectifying them, and our society is not going to get away from it. I'm not trying to say like, oh, it needs to stop, because it's never going to stop. That's been for years and years and years. I mean, people got super upset back in the day about Elvis, about twisting his hips around, and
so true.
It's just out there. It's what's going to happen. So we have to be ones that are above reproach and have good character and know that, hey, we have to avert our eyes, and we have to, like we share a TikTok account, and Josh didn't even download it on his phone, and I had it for a few months before he even did that. So I could, hit not interested, like repeatedly on a lot of the videos that came up, and follow this.
Set the algorithms away from those things.
Yeah, algorithms, yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually downloaded TikTok at the same time Christy did. And when I got on it, I'm like, no. I mean, I scrolled up a couple videos and it was just one after the other. And I'm like, no, not good. And I told her, I'm like, I have no interest in getting on TikTok. I want to be on it because of all the rave about it, but I can't be on that. Like, that is not good for me. It's not good for me. And so Christy got on it, and I never even anticipated getting on it. And then she's like, it's good now. And I'm like, oh, is it safe enough for me? And I asked her, is it safe enough? Is our feed safe? She says, yes, it is now. So I'm like, cool.
That just still doesn't mean that I wanted him on it. I mean, he had his iFunny. I had TikTok, and we could share, like,
but I've deleted
funny
iFunny
things.
because iFunny, this was 2 years ago. I didn't even know you didn't know this. iFunny I deleted 2 years ago because iFunny started getting to where every once in a while something would pop up. Yeah. And I'm just like, no. And I love iFunny.
I never had iFunny.
And I loved iFunny. Like, iFunny was funny. But iFunny went away from being funny.
Yeah.
You know, they started dribbling all these things in, you know, that were unhealthy.
Yeah.
And after a while, you're like, I just, this is unnecessary and I don't want to have this to be a problem. So I'm getting rid of it. And the problem, though, is you start telling yourself, like, I can control this. I can just zip by it. And you start selling yourselves on these things. And that's where the secrecy really starts to climb in and start to, like, paint your heart black in certain areas.
Yeah.
And you don't want that. You have to be honest with yourself and say, can I handle this or can I not handle this? We have plenty of guy friends that don't even have any social media because they've been honest with themselves.
Yeah.
You know, we go to Celebrate Recovery. We have guys that come there that struggle with sexual addiction. All the time, there's like, I had to get rid of social media. Okay, that was a problem for them.
Yeah.
And we have to be willing to be honest with that because that secrecy, nobody would ever know if you didn't open your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. It's a dangerous thing. So we wanted to talk about the dangers to then go ahead and talk about the things that we can do about it. What can you do about the dangers of it, about social media in general? The first thing we have is the greatest thing you can do, and that's just abstain.
Yeah, abstain, take a break, or cancel the accounts. But a lot of what Josh and I were talking about, abstaining, unless you completely delete them off your phone. Now, I've heard of people fasting from social media. Like, my sister was one of those people. She deleted it off of her phone.
She did.
For so many months until she came back on, and basically, for the majority, strictly uses it for her business. She sells Color Street. Her name's Melissa Castro. Look her up. But she lives in Texas. But abstaining from it, or taking a break, or canceling, or talking to your spouse about, like, hey, we're going to fast from it. Let's do a 1 week fast or 3-day fast or whatever you want to do, is a brilliant idea to do it. Because Josh and I, when we went on our cruise to Puerto Rico, our phones didn't work, you know, because you could pay for the internet on the cruise ship. That doesn't really work.
It was horrific.
It doesn't really work.
It was bad.
Yeah. So we didn't have our phones for a week while we were on the cruise. I mean, we did, but weren't on them because to us, they were useless. I mean, we don't use them to make phone calls. We use them to check social media. Yeah. And we couldn't. Yeah. So it's like we weren't on them a lot. And we really spent so much time together. The entire trip, we were talking so much. It was a breath of fresh air. And we even talked about it. It's kind of like a diet. Like, you start a new diet and you're eating all this healthy food and you're like, man, why don't I eat like this all the time? I feel so much better. And we talk about this every time. Like, I don't know why I ever eat so crappy. And then slowly over time, you end up, and you don't really notice, like, you end up eating crappy again and feeling crappy again until you start again. And Josh and I talked about it and we were like, man, we feel so good. This has been so refreshing. You know, we really don't need to be checking it 75,000 times a day, you know, and then we come home. And at first it wasn't, because we had kind of gotten out of the habit for those 7 days of checking it. It was 1 or 2 times here and there. But then over time, it's just
draws you back in.
Yeah, draws you back in because it's available. It's readily available and it's there.
And everything's attached to it.
And I really do feel, I wish you would have looked up this statistic. I'm just now thinking about it, but I really do feel like it's messing with society's brains, like as far as like ADHD and like addiction and forgetfulness.
Yeah.
And things like that happen, because I will find myself, it's actually scary. I'll find myself, him and I are watching a show or watching a movie, and we're actually watching it. And I'll be sitting there watching the movie and I'm just like, pick up my phone, look at it.
You do
no
that.
Notifications, set it back down.
You do that when we're having conversations with people.
Yeah.
She'll pick it up and just start getting on her phone. I'm like,
I look it up.
She's on her phone.
And it's
this
like,
person's talking to her.
I'm like, it's like mindless. Yeah. Like I don't even realize that I'm doing it. It's an addiction. And I'm like, I need to break that. It is so bad. And so I've actually thought about maybe you can just turn the notifications off.
Mm-hmm.
So then when they're not coming through constantly trying to get your attention, and I'll just check them then when I remember,
Yep.
Rather than, because you get notifications on your social media, especially if you have LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest,
Facebook,
TikTok. I mean,
everything.
what else is there?
I don't know. There's YouTube.
I
mean, there's lots.
It's constant.
Yeah.
It's constant. So
Snapchat.
you're constantly, yes. I don't have Snap. Well, I do, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't even have it.
Yeah,
It's not anything I even use.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, when it comes to abstaining, is you have to understand your limits and be respectful of your limits. Now, I think you should be able to have healthy conversations with your partner, with your spouse, and saying, hey, if your spouse is telling you, like, this is a problem, it's not time to get defensive. It's time to have a conversation about it. Because first off, we don't want to give that up. Maybe we don't see it as a problem. Maybe we see it as something we enjoy doing.
No,
I've earned the right to do this. I work all day.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to come home and I want to be on my phone. And that's what I want to do.
Yep.
Well, guess what? We also have a spouse that we have to care for and we need to connect with. So know your limits, and abstaining, like Christy's saying, maybe taking a break or setting limits. There's a thing on iPhone that you can go and you can limit stuff on you can say 30 minutes of time for this, and you can put in a passcode, and your spouse and you could have passcodes to each other's, and say, hey, we get 2 hours of social media per day, and your phone turns it right off, and you can set it for each individual social media platform. These are concepts that you really can embrace if it's really becoming a massive problem in your relationship, but you have to be open to do it. And that is, if you want your relationship really to go to the next level or even stay together, a lot of this stuff is necessary. Social media is I read a statistic, and I don't remember it verbatim, but it said that since social media has been on the rise in the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, divorce rates, they have proven it, have increased by like 6% overall, which is a huge jump in overall. So, I mean, abstaining or taking a break could be a massive thing to do in your relationship. Mm-hmm. The second thing that you can do to help with this is have a joint account.
Yeah, that's something that Josh and I did 5 years ago.
Yep.
We've been together for 11 years. We did it 5.5 years ago. And for Facebook and TikTok. And it couldn't be better, actually.
No, I love it.
I do too.
It simplifies everything.
It does. It simplifies everything. Now, at first, it was kind of weird. It
was hard.
We had to we had to decide whose account we were going to go to, and we did pick mine. And the only reason we picked mine is because if any of you out there know me, I have tens of thousands, no joke, pictures on my account now, and then I still had thousands.
You probably have 50K on there now.
Yeah, I had probably close to 20 5 years ago then. And he really didn't. He was a guy. I mean, he had like 20 pictures.
Yeah, I had like 20 pictures.
So it was like let's write down what friends, you need to friend request once you get to my page, announce it on your page and all of those things. That's the only reason we chose mine. Over that is because I had so many more pictures. But since we've done that now, like I said, it's been 5 years. And that's our primary. This is our primary social media network that we use. It has been amazing, and no one can write him, because he's in leadership, and especially in recovery programs. Some women that come in, they see a man in leadership, and they're just like, they want to latch onto him. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the main reasons that caused us to do this, is because he started getting not good, but inappropriate, private messages to him. And it was like he was saying, I just don't want you to have to question.
Yeah, like, want you to be part of those.
Like
see it.
Yeah, I want you to see it. I want you, like, all of those things. So it's really, really cool that we did that. But it is an option. And if you are finding yourself right now being like, oh my gosh, I could never. Why? Like, you need to ask yourself why that is. Yeah. I mean, you share your life together. So why would you not want it? I'm not saying you should or you need to or anything else. But just the thought and you going, no, why? I'm just curious.
I really look at this thing. Okay, so I really look at adding yourself as a joint account when you do that with your spouse. I know people make fun of it. It's kind of like, oh, you guys bought the same shirt and you're wearing it in public. Okay, first off, I'm married. I don't care what anybody else thinks. Number one. Number two, I believe that when people do this, they really are taking their marriage to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do because you still feel like you have to appease your buddies. Most girls don't care. Most women just don't care about that. But guys, it's like you have to kind of, oh, you're one of those. Oh, you guys have a shared account, right? And you right, yeah, right, or around their neck. And so, the thing is with that though, you have to get to a point to where your spouse matters more than your friends matter, or them finding out about these things. I personally could care. Listen to me, folks. My wife just ordered us a backpack. Okay, it's got little French bulldog pictures all over it for me to wear when we take our dog for a walk. Do you think I care? No, I'm gonna wear that sucker with pride. I don't care. I have nobody in this world to impress but her. And that's the truth. Like, I could care less. And we have to get that way where our marriage matters that much. Like, it needs to matter that much. So the joint account can add so much value because you are concreting your trust and intimacy level like no other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where else? She's going to know, like, everything, or he's going to know everything. Everything. Someone messaged you hi. Like, you get spammed every once in a while, something. And if I had my own account and not with her and she saw that, she would not think it's spam. She would be thinking, what have you been looking at?
Yeah.
Who you been talking to? You know, I don't have to wonder about that stuff.
No.
I don't have to worry about it. Even when it comes across, I don't have to get this like feeling of like fear across me. Like I have to now go prove to her.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
No, because he knows that
it's amazing.
If we get a message from a male, he looks at it first.
Yes.
If we get a message from a female, I look at it first.
Yes.
Unless it's someone like a pastor of our church and they start the message Christy, because you can see it.
Yeah.
And it's like
we've learned over the years how to manage these things. Because friends of Christy's will message her private stuff. I don't read that stuff.
No.
I see the name come across. It's a woman. I don't read it.
Nope.
I don't read it. I probably know the person, but I'm like, okay, I just don't read that one.
And neither one of us are nosy people like that. I think it's helpful that we are so involved with Celebrate Recovery. We respect privacy, confidentiality, anonymity, all of those things. So we really don't. And I know some people are like, there's no way. There is.
You have
like,
to want it.
Yeah, you
really do.
Yeah, if a message comes through from a guy, and even if I know who it's for him, I don't go back through and read the messages or anything. First off, I don't have time to do that. And if it's something that I need to know, he'll tell me, or he'll tell me to go read it. Like, we have trust. We're moving and grooving for God, and we're moving forward. We don't have time, and it would actually starts to create wedges in your relationship if you start questioning things that you actually have full access to.
That's control.
And
that becomes control.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've even had people to where for Christy's work that's messaged her on Facebook before Messenger, and I don't even have to ask her about it. I can just go in there and read it if it's a guy.
Yeah.
Like I will just go in there and be like, oh, this is just a work thing.
Yeah.
And so she knows that I can do that.
Yep.
And so then there is no inappropriate. And another beautiful thing is someone sees you have a shared account, they're a lot less likely to try be inappropriate with you, because they know your spouse is part of that. Mm-hmm. Because it's very obvious on your joint account. It says both your names at the top. I mean,
some people are idiots and just see Josh first, and women are just dumb.
Yeah, but what Facebook tries to be smart and not allow people to have joint accounts because they don't want you to, because they want everyone to have an individual account.
Which is
for marketing reasons. That's why they do that.
Yeah.
But you can still do it, and we do it, and you can do it, and you can do it on everything. We do it on TikTok as well.
Yeah.
We have a joint account. So that's the second point of what you can do about this. And the third thing is have a time limit each day. And we talked a little bit about that before. You have to use this appropriately. Like we all need limits on everything, because even the greatest of good things, if you overdo them, is bad for you.
Have a time limit, or not necessarily time limit. Like you talked about having a limit on your phone, but you could, and because I did want to say, I do think sometimes, like, I've been at work all day, and a lot of times at my job, I don't really have time to check social media and stuff. My phone's going off all the time. I'm doing so many things. Every once in a while I do, but it's not frequent. It's not like a daily occurrence. So sometimes when I come home, it's like, okay, by the time I get home, it's 5:30, 6 o'clock. I basically have 3.5 hours to be able to eat, spend time with my family, take a shower, do laundry, see my dog. I'd like to have a little bit of that time to be on social media, or to be on my phone playing a game or something. And I justify it in my head. Now, we could easily, which we've never done before up until this exact moment, we could easily say, okay, Christy's time to be on her phone aimlessly scrolling is going to be once we get into bed and he turns on the boob tube anyway, and we're just laying there. And it's like, okay, we don't usually get in our bed, get in our bedroom until 8:30, 9 o'clock at the earliest.
At the earliest, yeah.
And I should be going to sleep by 10, So it's like once we get into bed, that can be Christy's time to be like, we're done with our serious conversations usually by that point, and anything hustle and bustle of our house. So that should be my time to be able to just do what I want on my phone, play a game, scroll social media, whatever it is that we need to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think, we all have to have rules within our household. We do. And if we're not being intentional with our time, then it'll run us. It just runs away, and we get justified in all the things that we do. And social media it is making wedges in relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, it can cause problems in our relationship. I get frustrated sometimes when she is home, and sometimes she's on it a lot, and I'm just like, ah. But at the same time, I'm sure she feels the same about me. Mm-hmm. Every time she looks over at me, I'm probably on it, even though I don't think that I am, but that's just untrue. It's just not how it is. Right. So we get blinded even to our own use of it. We get so caught up.
So then we don't say anything to each other. And then we're just on our phones.
Right. I don't want to say anything to them because then they're going to say something to me, and then I don't want that, and then we have these things attached to our wrists that are really hard. And I've really gotten a lot better. I know we've talked about this on previous episodes, that when I get in bed now, I do take it off. I've gotten in the habit of that. And I love that. I actually like that I do that. Christy does that very well. I've never done that. I've always liked having it on. And so probably over the last 6-8 months, I've started taking it off when I go to bed, and I just lay it on the table next to the bed until I'm ready to go to bed. Then I put it on the charger. But
that's because mine's usually on the charger.
Hers is on my charger. She has a charger. She just likes my charger.
I do. I like it on his side, so then I can just be like, babe, can you hand me my watch?
Yeah. But my point is we have to just be more intentional about other parts of social media too, other than just our watches. So I really
that's a good point.
Hope you found some encouragement out of this episode. Understand the dangers of social media and understand the best way to manage it for your relationship. Remember that your marriage is the most important earthly relationship that God has given us. And we have to take responsibility for that. We really do. Social media can become a major problem, and it is a major problem. But you have to ask yourself, am I continuing to add to the problem, or am I trying to find solutions to make this better for my relationship?
Well, and this is something that a lot of people don't want to talk about. I'm going to be completely transparent right now. We usually have an audience watching our podcast right now, and there is no one on right now watching. No one live watching this right now. And the reason why that is because no one really wants to be held accountable for social media. We can hold accountable for drugs. We can hold accountable for alcohol. We can hold accountable for adultery. Yeah. We can hold accountable for so many things. It's like Christians and gossip, okay, in the church. We can tarnish everyone else's reputation, but when it comes to gossip, I don't gossip. It's a lie, right? So no one wants to be held accountable when it comes to this. And it's really sad, actually, because it can cause so many problems. And blended families, especially, if you become part of blended family groups on Facebook and become blended family groups of Instagram and all this stuff, there's just constantly people on those groups. And we have our Perfectly Blended page, but we also have a Christian Couples for Blended Families page, right? Group, sorry. Yep. And there are people in those groups, not in our group, but in those groups all day long, basically just complain. And then if someone says something, usually those people are judging that person that posted. Like, how dare you post this, blah, blah, blah. It's very, very toxic. It's toxic and negative.
It is.
And so then we use this social media platform to post negative commentary or negative news articles or negative opinions about something just so that we can feel good. People are going to like our comment. Some people are addicted to drama, so they like people disagreeing with them so they can argue. And it's like, you need to put yourself in check. You need to put yourself in check. We need to put ourselves in check. And we're in check more so than most, I would say, as far as like sex and like watching things we shouldn't be on social media and negativity and toxicity on social media. We're just on our phones way too much, and we need to put that in check. Yeah. But it just goes to show how much people don't want to be held accountable for something that we really don't think is that big a deal. And it is.
It is. The statistics are there. This is a problem. This is not a Michigan problem or a Florida problem or a Texas problem. This is a worldwide issue, and it is causing divorces. It honestly is. And as believers in Jesus, we need to do everything in our power to keep the love and the intimacy strong in our marriage, to keep our marriage sacred and allow God to work in that. And we have to stop being part of the problem and start being part of the solution. And so, like Christy said, we have to check ourselves. Check yourself. Call yourself out. Allow your partner to call you out. Don't get mad about it, but say, okay, let's do this together. Let's create a plan and let's move forward. Let's do something about this. Don't allow social media to come in the middle of your marriage. Don't do that.
Well, and don't try to justify it. Like, I'm going to use an example. You know, I was at work the other day with a bunch of work people, and we were talking about, like, it's little character things. Like, it's your character. Do you put your grocery cart away when you're out in the parking lot? You know, do you put it back in the little corral, or you just leave it in the middle of the parking lot? And I didn't used to, until I heard a podcast one time of a preacher that talked about it. You know, successful people don't leave their grocery carts. Like, they want to do what's good. They want to have good character. They want to grow. And so I brought that up because I started doing it no matter what. Like, in the rain, it didn't matter. In the snow, sleet, whatever, I put it back. And it's little wins. And it's a psychological battle within your own mind, whether you want to believe it or not. It's true. And one of the girls was like, oh man, I had someone tell me the other day that it's job security for them, you know? And I was like, that is not true, because someone still has to go out to the corrals and collect the carts. It's not like all of the carts are like cattle that get in there and they're like, okay, we're all here, guys. Let's run back to the store together. It's like, that doesn't happen. People still need to go out and get the carts out of the corrals. So that's an excuse. And that's what we do, though. It's what we do. Oh, it's job security for that person. Yeah, right. Like, yeah, right.
They don't hire people just for cart detailing.
No, I know.
I mean, have you ever been to a grocery store? Like, the carts are almost always in the parking lot. Like, come on.
Yeah. So it's like, don't make excuses about your social media. Don't justify it. Like, it is a real problem. You and your spouse could sit down and have a real conversation. Like, hey, do you feel like I'm on my phone too much? Yeah. If you feel like they're on their phone too much, do we need to start setting a little bit of boundaries before it starts to become a problem? Like, let's just have it be open dialogue and open communication, because the more you bring things to light and have awareness around it and have good, healthy communication about it, the more likely it won't become a problem.
Yeah, you know, we really want to thank anybody that was able to watch this, even on replay, you know, and do us a favor, share this, tag somebody in it. You know, there is somebody out there that needs to hear this message of understanding the dangers of social media.
Tag your spouse.
And then if you don't share an account, you should. But also understanding that there are solutions out there. There is ways to manage this. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing, but maybe all or nothing is for you, you know? So understand that. But we really want to thank you for being here. Next Tuesday, we actually have a really awesome couple that's going to be on as an interview on our podcast that day, and it's going to be about finances, which we've never done before, so that's going to be pretty exciting.
It is.
All right, so we want to thank you so much for being here. Please hit the share button, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.